Whether you work in communications, whether you're applying for a job, whether you work in another sector that needs your writing to be professional, having good writing is going to be a skill that is critical to your success. Today, I'm sharing some of the tips that our writers find most useful here at the Finesse Group. You've probably heard me say this a number of times before, but the best and most important tip is to write for your audience. You'll notice as you write more and more that there are many different ways to write, and they aren't necessarily always good or bad. But understanding your audience can immediately help to tailor the language that you use and the style that you use, both to the person that you're writing for and the platform that you're using. So you wouldn't necessarily write a blog post in the same way if you're writing it for a business owner or for a student. So when you sit down to write, think about the person that you're writing for and imagine them before you put any words on paper. Next up is to get to the point. At school, we're taught that we need to write a lot, and the longer we write, the better it is. But when it comes to the real world, the quicker you can get to the point, the clearer that your writing is going to be, the more professional it's going to sound. So when you go back and take a look at your work, try to remove anything that is waffle, anything that feels extra, anything that doesn't clearly get your message across. In doing that, you'll make your writing much more succinct and better for your reader, and hopefully more effective. One of the next things that can really determine how professionally your writing comes across is how consistent you are in any particular piece. So some things in English writing aren't necessarily right or wrong. It just comes down to choice. You can be creative. But the point is that you need to take a decision about the way certain things are written. Here's an example. In your article, are you going to write you are, or are you going to write your, U''re? So are you going to contract words, or are you just going to keep them in full? That's the sort of decision that when you sit down to write a piece or when you're editing, you'll want to take. Because as you go through, you'll want to be consistent throughout. Again, often this doesn't really come down to whether something is right or wrong. It just comes down to a choice that could even reflect the style guide of the company that you're writing for. A style guide is obviously a guide that's been created to the style that the company wants to write in. So if you understand the style guide and you take decisions around it, then make sure to be consistent from start to finish. This will look more professional and save your editor from having to go through and make those changes for you. Another thing I really look for in professionalism when it comes to the writers that I'm going to be hiring is whether they overuse the passive voice instead of the active voice. Here's an example of the passive voice. The squirrel was chased by the dog, as opposed to the more active voice, which is the dog chased the squirrel. You see that the subject and the verb usage changes there, and it just makes the second one more confident, more engaging. And that's exactly what you want to do to make your writing sound more professional. My next tip is to focus on the flow of your article, or on the email, on the piece that you're writing, it doesn't matter. One of the things that really sets professional writers apart is how effectively their paragraphs or their thoughts flow from one into the other. Now, there are various tips that you can do to make your writing more flowing. So for instance, you can add words like however or with that in mind. It will just help each paragraph to back up the previous paragraph and introduce the new thought more effectively. An addition there is to always keep it to just one thought within each paragraph so that your reader can effectively go through your piece and understand where it is that you're taking them. Again, the difference between doing that and not doing that can make a massive difference to how professionally your writing comes across. And finally, probably the most important of all these tips is to edit and proofread your own work before you send it. I know you're probably saying, oh Jo, of course I do that. I already proofread my work before I send it off. But I will question you on whether you really do. My advice is after you've written something, even if it's an important email or a blog article, whatever it is, take a break. Go away, make a cup of tea, think about something else, and then come back to your piece and take another look at it. You'll have fresh eyes. It means you're more likely to pick up on the silly little mistakes that you wouldn't have noticed when you were reading it back the first time. Then, as you've made all those changes, you can confidently send it off, knowing that your writing is as professional as it could be. And that's it. Those are my tips for making your writing more professional really quickly, really easily. But if you'd like more tips, if you feel like you want to focus more on making your writing more professional, then why not join our Finesse Writers Club? It's closed at the moment, but we are going to be taking new members soon. So you can sign up in the link below. And in the meantime, please subscribe to us here at the Finesse Group, where we add new videos regularly, helping you to serve your clients best so you can achieve more success.